What if I told you that you could run Eventide algorithms from the H9 in your Helix and you didn't need any Eventide hardware to do it? You'd call me a dirty liar, but it's true. You just need a USB cable, a Lightning to USB adapter, and then on your iPhone, you'll use a program called UAM, which is downloadable from the App Store. UAM, it's about $18 or $19, and that is the program that runs all sorts of audio extensions. You don't even have to run Eventide only. You can run any audio extension. I got a tape saturation at the end of my chain, which I always leave on as well. It's not too complicated. I'll show you the routing real quick. I have kind of 4 lines, all working on one. At the end of my 3rd line, I'm creating basically a USB effects loop. And so that is set to output to USB 1 and 2 on the Helix, and then on UAM at the input, hardware input, Helix 1 and 2. And then for the back into the Helix part of the loop, I go to the beginning of the 4th line, and that is set to USB 3 and 4, and then at the end of the chain on UAM, click on the output, and that is set to Helix 3 and 4. Now, not only can you run stuff through here, but you can also control it with the foot switches, as you would hope to do, set up as basic MIDI commands. And so right now I have a couple foot switches that are set to control things. The first 2 are the rotary from Eventide and the Ultra Tap Delay, which I love. I'm running with each other, so one foot switch turns them both on because that's how I use the effects. And of course they toggle on and off. You can name the particular button, whatever you want. I call it Ultra. Also have another one for my black hole reverb, but not only do I have a button turn it on and off, I'm also using my expression pedal as the ribbon controller. So I go heel down for not too much reverb, and then toe down for a long saturated reverb, so I can kind of go back and forth with my expression pedal. Set that up, you just go to Command Center and set up your buttons like you would any other MIDI out on the Helix, which works very well. Command Center, one thing you'll want to do when you hit the button that you want to change, make sure you go to CC toggle. You have to move it, otherwise it won't latch down and the light won't stay on. So you go to toggle, give it a CC number. When you first connect, you have to go to the MIDI control. Make sure you tell it to go to the Helix, that it's receiving messages from the Helix. And then you can go all the way down to the bottom and then click on the effects themselves. If you click on it now, you can look at all the parameters control. I do active, and so make sure toggle is off. But then you can actually hit the learn button. Make sure on your Helix you assign a CC number to that button. But then you just hit the button and it learns it, and there you go. Pretty easy that way. I think it's easy. You might think it's hard. Make sure you save it, give it a name when you're all done with everything. And that's pretty easy. You can actually use program change, patch changes on your Helix to change to different patches on the AUM to sync up as well, which I won't show you, but it can be done that way. So keep in mind with this whole setup, you are going USB in, and so there's a little bit of latency that gets added. Make sure that you go to your settings and you change the buffer size to 64 if you can, so that it's introducing a pretty much imperceivable amount of latency. I'm using about 60% of my DSP. This is an iPhone 11, and so even with older iOS software, I haven't had any problem running at 64 frames. So note that if you have to bump it up to 128 because you get a little bit of dropout, that's still probably going to be fine. But keep in mind the latency is there whether the effects are turned on or not, because it's still going through USB. Other caveats are when you turn off an effect, there are no trails on the reverb, so that's a little bit unfortunate that way, but it's a relatively minor annoyance. All in on this, the Lightning to USB adapter is about $20, UAM is about 18 or 19 bucks, and then whatever money you want to spend on the plugins is kind of all you have to spend on it, which saves an awful lot of money over having to buy hardware. And it's also convenient. You can just leave it plugged in. You don't have to touch your phone during the gig. You can just set it anywhere you want within cable's reach, and you have an H9 basically that can live in your Helix. So the other caveat is not all the H9 algorithms are available on the App Store yet, but they keep adding more and more, and hopefully someday we'll have them all. So good luck. Hopefully it works out for you. Leave a comment if you need any more help. I can probably help you out. Thanks a lot.